now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, folks, I keep telling you the health care we have in this area is second to none. Today, we're going to continue inform you what's happening in the Lehigh Valley Health Network. A lot of great things happening. We have a person who was on about 6 months ago, if you recall, Dr. Joseph Horton, orthopedic surgeon, and since that, I'm sure he has some great stories to tell us. The doctor, thanks for coming on the show again.
Thanks, Sam. Nice to be here.
So it's been 6 months since you've been on the show.
Yes.
I can't believe that. Jesus, time goes by.
It does.
Now, if I recall correctly, we're just discussing, you have twins, boy and girl.
Yep.
And how old are they?
They're 5, about 5.5 now. So I have one boy and one girl, and they're loving it here. My daughter is in dance, just probably 2 blocks up the street here.
Yeah.
My son goes to the same place for gymnastics, and they're loving the area. They like the snow. We just came from New Mexico, didn't get a lot of snow down there, and they're very excited. Probably more so than anybody else about this snowstorm. I'm not super excited about it that we're having, but they can't wait to go sledding, and they're really having fun.
Well, I find it interesting. Melody recruits a lot of people coming in, doctors coming into the area, and she's doing a great job getting the guys like you who are really seasoned and know what's going on. When you were coming into the area, okay, what did you and your wife look for?
Well, I'm originally from the Philadelphia area. My family's, yes and no. I mean, I grew up in Philadelphia, but it wasn't like I only stayed in the city. I was, I'm like the outdoors, so I would, be out up in the Poconos all the time anyway in my free time. So we knew the area. I wanted to be close to my family again. My mom, my sisters, my nieces and nephews all live here. I didn't want to be in the city of Philadelphia. I wanted to be outside of it, a little bit nicer area to raise kids, and I loved the mountains. So we were looking for an hour or two outside of Philadelphia, up in the Pocono area, and luckily found this job. So we really lucked out.
There's always 2 factors. I mean, the area and then, of course, the job itself.
Yeah.
And going with Lehigh Valley at the time, okay, what was one of the reasons why you decided to go with them?
Well, I actually, I did my internal medicine rotation, one of my internal medicine rotations at Lehigh Valley in Cedar Crest. So I was very familiar with the organization, and I thought they were top notch when I was there. I was very impressed with. They really had, it was a big city hospital in a little bit smaller area, but they were top notch, and and I've been to the other systems too. I interviewed at Geisinger for residency. I know what they had to offer, and I was very happy with Lehigh Valley. And when the opportunity came up, I jumped at the chance to work for the organization as such as ours.
We talk about, I've always said this, in fact, Lehigh Valley has it in their thing of passion. You need to have a passion for what you do, okay? It cannot be just, well, I think I'll be an orthopedic surgeon. Blah, blah, blah. You have to have a passion. What was the reason, as an orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Horton, why did you decide that you wanted to become an orthopedic surgeon?
Yeah. Well, as I said, I've always been kind of an outdoorsy person. I've always been a very active person, and when you're an active person, when you like to do things outdoors and hike on rocky terrain and lift weights and kayak and do all these things, you're going to get hurt. And the nice thing is I wanted to be the guy that got people back to doing what they like to do, because work is work, and we do that for a living and to support our families, and it's great to love what you do. But there's also the free time that you have, and if you can't enjoy your free time because your shoulder hurts or your knees hurt or your hip hurts, then I think that people miss out on that. And I kind of combined my 2 things together so that I can actually help people get back to doing the things that they like to do. I think it's a win-win, you know.
So when you were in medical school, you had that choice to make, and that's what you were to go into orthopedics. When you're in when you came out of school, you interned. Where did you say you interned?
I did my internship in residency was in Michigan, actually, which is where I met my wife. And then we came back to Pennsylvania. We, I guess, had our choice of living near my family or hers, and she actually wanted to live near my family. So I lucked out in that regard too. We got to be here.
Now, when you look at the healthcare system, okay, coming in here, you had to look at the area, and then Melanie, gave you all the ins and outs, etc. Then the best thing she did was put you on my show. That was the best thing she did. So I got to congratulate you for that.
Yeah.
She's probably sleeping over there, not even paying attention to me. When you're looking at total health care in the area, okay, how do you envision because I've been promoting all the doctors in this area since 1994. I don't see any reason why people have to go out other than major heart problems or whatever. How do you look at the healthcare situation in Hazleton?
Well, I think there's a big commitment now to musculoskeletal healthcare by the organization. They brought myself in. They just brought in a partner a couple months ago, Dr. Kazicki, who's with me. We just got in a physician's assistant. We have another physician's assistant coming in January. So they're really building up the orthopedic team here, and it's actually growing exponentially. In addition to that, right next door to me is a physical medicine doctor. Right next door to him is a chiropractor. They're really hitting hard the musculoskeletal care so that people aren't going to need to leave town. Especially, I have a lot of people come in and tell me, it worries me to have to drive to Allentown or to drive to out of the area with the snow and the ice, and it's hard to get around. And at this point, they really don't have to. There's not anything that we really can't do here in town. And they just keep adding to it. I know, I don't want to give away Melanie's secrets, but I know she's still recruiting for other practitioners for different areas of musculoskeletal care. And basically, we're going to have, they're talking about really a musculoskeletal institute. In other words, a group where you don't have to go anywhere for anything. Just the other day, the chiropractor brought over a guy who had a problem with his arm. He had just seen him for his neck, and he brought him right over to me. We just put him right in a room, and I saw him right then. He didn't have to wait 2 months to get an appointment to see an orthopedic surgeon. He just walked over, and we can do that. So, and you can't really do that other places. And I think it's real good for the patients.
So in the last 6 months, what have you seen since you've been here?
I've just seen a big commitment from the organization to orthopedics, to musculoskeletal care. They're going out of their way to build up the team. Every week there's something new about how can we do things better, how can we do things more efficiently, what else are we missing, as far as practitioners or facilities or things, and they just want to grow it out to be basically self-sufficient and full service.
Folks, I'm talking to Dr. Joseph Horton, orthopedic surgeon for the Lehigh Valley Physicians Group. If you would like to get in contact with him, his phone number is 570-501-6730. We come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Dr. Horton. How do we stay a little bit healthy, and how do we keep our bone structures strong like me? Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us, folks. I'm Sam Lesante. You're watching The Sam Lesante Show. Remember, all of our shows you can see 24/7, SSPTV.com. Every show we produce here at SSP TV. And also, my email is sam@SSPTV.com. My guest today, Dr. Joseph Horton, orthopedic surgeon for the Lehigh Valley Physicians Group. Now, let me continue on with a couple of things. As an orthopedic surgeon, of course, do you have any specialties, or do you do it all?
I more or less do it all, but I do actually have a fellowship in sports medicine as well. But I also do other aspects of orthopedics, such as hip and knee replacements, and obviously trauma. With the snow and ice, there's been a lot of broken bones lately, so we do all that as well.
I alluded to trying to keep yourself healthy and your bone structure and, et cetera. Because, hey, when you fall, you fall. Those are the things that happen. I think as you get older, you fall more than what you did when you were younger. But what does a person do to keep their bone structure and, keep, healthy?
Yeah, well, they always talk about when you're younger to do a lot of weight-bearing exercise, especially for women. A lot of the aerobic stuff is good for your heart, but you really need weight-bearing exercise to build up your bones. It's kind of like putting money in the 401k that you can take out later when you're older. Now, when you're older, one of the things that we find up north here is there's a lot of vitamin D deficiency. We don't get the sunshine. Even in other areas where it's sunnier, how much are you actually out in the sun, or are you just running from your car into into work, then and then into your house and things like this? So there's quite a bit of vitamin D deficiency out there, and if you're vitamin D deficient, then you're going to have trouble with your calcium metabolism, and you're going to be kind of stealing from your bones to get your calcium in your blood. So you really need to make sure that you have a good amount of vitamin D and calcium in your diet.
What would I do? What would you need for vitamin D?
Well, you can. Yeah, blood work will tell you that. And there's there's been you know how things go. It's a couple years ago was vitamin D deficiency, and then you'll have experts come on and say, okay, now make sure you get your blood checked and not just take vitamin D because you can build up too much. So I think a generalized like a calcium plus vitamin D daily vitamin is good for pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
But then if you have any concerns, you might want to get your vitamin D checked and make sure that you're in the normal range. If you're not, then you may need to take a lot more vitamin D. And there's different things that people can do as far as vitamin D supplementation with just pills, and then some people get like a shot once a week or once a month or something like that. So if you're older, you may just want to get your vitamin D level checked just as a screening, and then see, are you in the normal range, or do you really need to have a decent amount of supplementation to get to the normal range.
And talking about supplementation and looking at trying to keep yourself, healthy bone-wise, but you're absolutely right, because Dr. Benya tells me that all the time, where there's a deficiency of vitamin D in the area because of the sun. Why don't we have sunshine? I have no idea. Like Florida and New Mexico, they have a lot of sunshine.
I'll tell you what, in New Mexico, when I was down there was a lot of vitamin D deficient people down there, because you're not really out in the sun. If it's hot, you're running from your car into the house.
This is crazy to me. First they say the sun is good for you, then they say the sun is bad for you. So you're driving me nuts here. Yeah. Is it good to be in the sun, not to be in the sun?
It's good to be in the sun enough to get enough vitamin D, but you don't want to be in the sun too long, and obviously, to be getting any kind of skin cancer or anything like that. The difference with us now is, we're not drinking milk, like when we were kids and you had your vitamin D fortified milk. Yeah. We don't drink a lot of milk these days. So that I think has more to do with it than anything. It's more just our diet. And, if you're drinking a whole bunch of vitamin D fortified milk, then you're probably in good shape. But, we just typically don't do that. And then, if you're like me and you're a big coffee drinker, that caffeine can actually leach out a lot of calcium, so your needs might be higher.
I'm doing the right thing. Not the scotch, but the coffee's good.
Well, the coffee is good for some things, but it can actually get rid of a lot of calcium, which means your vitamin D, you need more vitamin D.
In our area, of course, as Dr. Horton, there is a lot of older people here, okay? And as you get older, people like to exercise, but they don't exercise as much as they used to. Sure. And so what advice do you have for people in their 60s, late 50s, early 70s, that are trying to, what do you think they should be doing?
Really, once you get to, 60s, 70s, 80s, just do something. Just walk, get out there, just get off the couch. A lot of people, it's hard because they say, well, I put on some weight and that makes it harder for me to walk. But if you could get some exercise, do a little walking, maybe you can get your weight down, which is going to help out everything. Mm-hmm. So, I don't think it's, if you're in your 70s, probably you shouldn't be signing up for CrossFit, that probably wouldn't do well for you. Even in people in their 40s, I've seen that have done these Zumba classes, high intensity aerobics. I've seen a lot of stress fractures from that, from people just pounding away. You want to stay away from the pounding.
There's another thing. I know a couple of friends of mine who were runners, okay? In their late 20s and 30s. I mean, this one friend of mine would run, like 10, 15, 20 miles, every day. He was like crazy, okay? But he ended up getting like 2 knees replaced, hip replaced. It's constant. It's okay to exercise, but don't you think it goes extreme sometimes, Joe?
Yeah, I agree. And it's that pounding, that's what you want to stay away from. So if you can get on something like an elliptical where your foot is planted on a pedal, in other words, if you're running, your foot has to come up and go down, and each time it comes up and goes down, that's pounding. If you're on an elliptical or a bicycle pedal, then your foot's never coming off. That's a lot less stress on your joints. So that's important.
You were talking about people who are sitting on the couch, and they get up, especially elderly people. My wife's a firm believer in this. In fact, everything you're saying, she's a registered nurse. She's been telling me that for years. But to get up, from the couch and do things, okay? Instead of sitting there all day, just get up and walk and do some things just to keep your bone structure. How about omega? And I take omega-3s every day. The fish oils. I take them. Good or bad?
Oh, absolutely good. Okay. Yeah.
See, I'm doing one good thing, right?
I'm sure you're doing a lot.
Yeah. Well, okay, getting back to, because, orthopedic medicine is interesting. People, thank God, are living longer, okay? And, you want to keep them healthy as much as you can. But, however, if something should happen, well, there's Dr. Horton there to take care of you. In orthopedic medicine, and just to review here again for those people who may be tuning in, I'm talking to Dr. Joseph Horton, folks, orthopedic surgeon from the Lehigh Valley Physicians Group. And if you want to get in touch with him, it's 570-501-6730. Just review again of what direction the orthopedics group is going in your Lehigh Valley.
Well, I'll tell you, the head of the hospital system here basically came to a decision that said we have a serious need for quality orthopedic care here. There's some practitioners in town that are very good, but they couldn't handle everybody. So they went out and they are going full force recruiting, recruited myself, recruited my partner, Dr. Kazicki, who's got 30 years experience, total hip and knee surgeon, does everything real well. We now have a physician's assistant. We have another physician's assistant. We have a physical medicine doctor working right alongside us. We have a chiropractor working right alongside us, and they're recruiting even more. So it is a big push from this hospital system to have high quality musculoskeletal care for this area, that people do not need to go anywhere, really, for anything.
Folks, I'm talking to Dr. Joseph Horton, orthopedic surgeon, Lehigh Valley Group. Lehigh Valley Physicians Group. His number is 570-501-6730. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this message. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. We're interviewing today Dr. Joseph Horton, orthopedic surgeon from the Lehigh Valley Physicians Group. If you'd like to get in contact with him, it's 570-501-6730. And remember, folks, all of our health shows that we've done since day one are on our internet website, ssptv.com. So if you missed his show we had 6 months ago, it's there. Okay, let me continue on with, I, as CEO of SSP TV and Samson Productions, have standards. You have developed standards. Some people like them, some people don't like them. However, if you set your goal and you have standards, you live by them, people will see that. As an orthopedic surgeon, what standards do you live by, Joe?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the things that we learn in medical school and residency is to basically make sure that whatever you're diagnosing for the patient and whatever procedures you're discussing with the patient to help them are evidence-based. There's a lot of what we call anecdotal medicine, meaning Well, my neighbor's son's daughter had a problem with their shoulder, and it sounded like this, and it was that, we actually, you need to see the patient, examine them, investigate it, and then have a treatment based on evidence. I know, to give a good example, there's a lot of people that come in, they have some arthritis in their knee, and they have this thing called a meniscus tear. Okay, there's two different kinds of meniscus tears. There's a degenerative meniscus tear, which is caused by increased pressure in the meniscus from arthritis, and then there's a traumatic tear that's caused by, say, like a basketball player jumps, twists his knee, and he tears it. The traumatic tear should be treated with a scope and treated with a meniscectomy. The degenerative tear is really, it's not the tear itself, it's the arthritis in the knee. So if you really are treating the patient, you want to treat their arthritis. So you may give them a cortisone injection or different things. There's some guys that'll just say, well, there's a MRI said a meniscus tear, so let's scope that person's knee. And then, surprise, surprise, they don't get better because it was the arthritis. It wasn't the degenerative meniscus tear. So you got to do the right thing by people. You got to inform them, this is what's going on. I know your neighbor had a scope, but they had a different kind of meniscus tear. And don't just go signing up for surgery because you think that's going to be some kind of quick fix or something. Let's have some logic behind it, some evidence behind it. So they're the standards. You need to do the right thing for the person, not just read an MRI report and say, hey, they got a meniscus tear, that means surgery. You got to think about things. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really where our standards are, to try and do the right thing for the right reason.
And you have, as you said, you have a group now that's you're working with.
Yeah.
Where do you see the future going here?
Well, I see us expanding the service line, expanding the group, getting more access to the patients here. We have a really good support structure from the community doctors that are here. We work closely with them. I see them every day in the hospital. I'm in the hospital every day. I'm in the, rounding on patients, and get a lot of feedback from the supporting primary care doctors here, so that we're really taking care of the patients as a group of physicians, not just an isolated guy. This guy does your knee, this guy over here takes care of your heart, and they never talk. So I think a lot more coordinated care is in the future here, where it's just going to be real good for the patient, because the more people that are communicating about your health care, the better. You don't want isolated, we're not technicians. I'm not a mechanic that's changing your tires. I'm taking care of you as a whole person, and I'm having a lot of help from the community doctors as well, and from my colleagues in the office.
Well, I wish you well. Now, you think your boy or girl is going to become a doctor? Have they been talking?
My daughter's talking about it.
Yeah, what's her name?
Sophia.
Yeah, that's a beautiful name. And your son's name?
Colton. And we think he's going to be an engineer.
Oh, yeah?
He can build amazing structures with Legos. He's only 5. He's
Aren't
pretty
those
amazing.
Legos something?
Yeah.
We were down in Florida, down at Disney, and we were in the Lego place, and my grandchildren, and my wife, and they bought all these Legos, and it's amazing what they could do with them. A lot of fun with them. Gee.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I think it's real good for them to to be able to build things, to create it, and structurally, he built some amazing things.
So Colton will be the engineer, and Sophia will be what?
I think she says she wants to be a doctor like Daddy.
Oh, like her daddy, right?
We'll see.
Is your wife involved with medicine?
She was training to be a nurse when I met her, and then she had actually been in finance for 20 years and was making a switch in careers, and then we kind of met, and I told her to put that on hold. Because I had a thought that maybe we'd be getting married and moving and doing other things. Well,
that's good. Well, I wish you the best, Doctor. It's always nice to see you on the show, folks. Dr. Joseph Horton. If you want to get in contact with him, folks, 570-501-6730. We'll see you next time.